Lady yields. Gentleman from Missouri.
I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Louisiana, the Majority Leader, Mr. Scalise.
Gentleman from Louisiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank Chairman Smith for not just yielding, but for his leadership in getting us to this point. Mr. Speaker, we are at the precipice of the new golden age of America. And how do we get there? We get there by actually making the right decisions for those hardworking families who have been struggling. You know, if you listen to the people on the other side, Mr. Speaker, who have over and over again said they are against this bill and all the things that are in this bill for hardworking families, you would think the last 4 years things have been going great for middle America. I don't know what parallel universe they've been living in, Mr. Speaker, but we heard the message that the voters sent, who said they're sick and tired of high inflation, of high gas prices, of not being able to fill up their grocery cart because of the spending in Washington for Washington at their expense. And so what does this bill do? It says we're finally going to turn that around and deliver a bill that focuses on families in America. You know, we hear a lot from the other side, Mr. Speaker, about billionaires, tax cuts for billionaires. You go look at this bill, everybody's had the opportunity to read the bill. They actually read the whole bill on the Senate floor. Only took 14 hours. And if you listened, one of the things you'd find out, Mr. Speaker, is there are some new tax cuts in this bill, but not for billionaires. So then it would beg the question, why does the other side keep hiding behind billionaires as their excuse to vote no? Because they made a decision, Mr. Speaker, early off, they don't want to give people back their money. They want to keep that power in Washington. That's really what's at stake here. That's the big fight that has been going on for years. The other side won that fight the last few years by raising taxes, raising spending, growing Washington. And while they did that, families in America suffered. Inflation went up for those hardworking families while Washington grew. Interest rates grew up to the point they couldn't even afford to buy a first-time home because Washington grew. And we said it's enough that Washington has to finally start living within Washington's means so that families in America can finally start living the American dream again. That's what this bill focuses on, Mr. Speaker. And how do we do it? We do it, number one, by locking in rates for everybody. Nobody's taxes go up, Mr. Speaker. Nobody's. Now, the other side's upset about that, and I understand it, because they don't want just the billionaires to go up, because they know in this bill the income groups that get hit the hardest if a no vote prevails. And we've heard them, they're all going to vote no, Mr. Speaker. But if a no vote prevails, the income groups that get hit the hardest are the lower and middle income groups of America. And they know that. They're watching this vote. And you can say billionaires all day long. But you know what the new tax cuts in this bill are? Because there are new tax cuts. For the waiter and waitress who's working maybe 2-3 shifts at a restaurant, at a diner, barely getting by. That's the new tax cut that we're putting in this bill. And so you would say, well, then how could the other side possibly vote against that? But, Mr. Speaker, they are. And maybe a focus group told them that if they curse enough and if they say billionaires enough, those families will forget what's actually happening. But they're not going to forget because they're paying attention. You know what the average pay for a worker in America who makes tip money is under this bill? $32,000 a year. That's right. Billionaires aren't even allowed to be eligible for that tax break. But the waitress who's working 2-3 shifts, barely getting by, making $32,000 a year, finally gets a little bit more money. And yes, every Democrat has bragged over here that they're going to vote against that. They don't want that waitress to get that money back in her pocket. But we're going to make sure she gets that tax break, Mr. Speaker, because she's struggling. She maybe wants to put together a college fund for her kid. Maybe she wants to take her family on a vacation. And she's going to have that opportunity when this bill passes. You know who else we're going to give opportunity to, Mr. Speaker, in this bill? The other tax cut. Sorry, it's not a billionaire again. It's that shift worker working overtime. Not the billionaires, person that's showing up at the factory, making stuff in America, who's paying taxes on the overtime, but they're away from their family, and they're looking at that check at the end of being away from their family for a few extra hours, and they're trying to make ends meet for their family, and they go, geez, I've got to get all that extra money back to the government. Is it worth being away from my family? And we say, you know what? Yeah, normal tax rates apply on everything else, but if you work overtime, you're not going to pay taxes on that overtime. Somebody making $60,000 a year, not the billionaire. Say billionaire enough, and maybe that shift worker won't know what you're doing, but Mr. Speaker, they do know. They do know what's about to happen, because everybody's watching this vote, and that's a good thing, because that shift worker deserves that extra money back. Might not seem a lot to somebody who deals with billions and trillions of dollars up here in Washington and grows agencies by 20, 30% every couple of years, and just thinks if you double the size of an agency over 5 years, somebody's going to pay for that. Well, you know who's paying for it? That hardworking family. You know, we clean up waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's been mocked by the other side. They think it's cool to mock what we're doing to finally root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Let the other party, Mr. Speaker, be the defender of waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington, but we're cleaning it up in this bill. USDA has pointed out that there's about $10 billion a year in waste just in the SNAP program. Fraud, improper payments. Not going to children that you hear about on the floor and not all these other. It's going to improper payments, to fraud. $10 billion a year. But, Mr. Speaker, when you hear about the billionaires and you say, well, how could anybody vote against this bill? Think about what a no vote means. Because I'm proud of the yes vote that we're about to cast to help those families. But everybody who votes no, Mr. Speaker, make no mistake about it, everybody who votes no is going to be asked a question by that waitress making $32,000 a year saying, why do you want me to pay more money in my tips so that $10 billion of fraud goes out in the SNAP program? Because you voted against cleaning it up and you voted against no tax on tips. That's the no vote. You can't hide behind the billionaire anymore. You're going to have to face the reality, Mr. Speaker, that this bill actually delivers for the working families of this country who have been struggling. They haven't been living on easy street the last 4 years, but they went to the polls in November and said, we want to try a different approach. And this is that different approach, to give them more power, to give them more opportunity. You know we're giving opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to in this bill. Again, if you're going to vote no, this is what the no vote will take away. We actually create something unique in this bill. Hadn't been talked about yet, but it's in the bill. I'm real proud of it. We create opportunity in school choice for every, not billionaire, low-income families. Every low-income family in America will be eligible for a scholarship so that their kid can go to the school of their choice if they're in a failing school. Now, you vote no, Mr. Speaker. How do you tell that family that their kid doesn't have the same opportunity they deserve that every other kid in America can have? If somebody can afford it, they can go to a private school. But if that low-income family can't afford it, we're finally giving them a lifeline in this bill, Mr. Speaker, and saying you can have the same opportunity. But a no vote says that you don't think that that parent deserves the same opportunity? And then you hide behind billionaires. There's going to be no hiding, Mr. Speaker. We all know when this board lights up what the consequences are. And why do we say there's going to be a golden era in this country? We're securing our border in this bill, too. We're opening up American energy in this bill. Everywhere from the North Slope of Alaska to, yes, the Gulf of America, where President Biden had shut down American energy. He green-lighted Russia's Nord Stream pipeline so Russia could produce their energy, funding billions of dollars to go fund their war against Ukraine. But in America, we were shut down. We open it up in this bill, Mr. Speaker. American workers get to produce American energy, not just for America. It's going to lower the price at the pump. Again, you're a middle-income family. The billionaire doesn't care what the cost of gasoline is. You know who does? That waitress making $32,000 a year saves that tip money. Maybe she can go on a trip and get in her car and drive and afford the gasoline now because we'll be producing more. We actually have lease sales in this bill for once, so we can produce energy in America. We have great natural resources. We just had them shut down for 4 years by an administration that said no to American energy, said yes to other countries' energy. Iran was able to sell their oil on world markets thanks to the previous administration. That party's over. And when America starts producing more energy, not only does it help lower the price for families here in America, not only does it create great jobs here in America, but all the bad guys around the world, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, you name your country, they're not going to have a cartel-like exclusive license on global energy anymore because America's going to be back in the game. Let's get this country back in the game. Let's get this country back on track. Let's actually promote opportunity in the American dream again for anybody who wants it. You want to work? There's going to be more opportunity than you've ever had before. If you're disabled on Medicaid right now, you've been crowded out of those programs by people turning down work. Able-bodied people, 35-year-olds sitting at home playing video games. They're going to now have to go get a job. That's right. And by the way, that's a good thing for them. Their mom doesn't want them sitting in the basement playing video games anyway. But now it no longer will be crowding out Medicaid for the truly needy people who deserve it. The disabled people will not be getting crowded out of those programs by people who can actually go get a job, and there are going to be a lot of great jobs, Mr. Speaker, a lot of great jobs in this country. America's coming back. You can vote no all day long, and you can hide behind billionaires all day long, but we're going to keep moving forward because this country doesn't sit down in the fetal position. America's ready for a rebirth, and we're going to deliver it. President Trump is at the helm now. It's a new day. World leaders know it. The bad guys know it around the world. But you know what? Those hardworking families who have been waiting for this relief for a long, long time are finally going to realize help is on the way because Republicans in Congress, any Democrats that want to join, Mr. Speaker, are free to, but they're bragging that they don't want to be a part of this. But you know what? The hardworking families of America are hungry for this kind of change. Take power away from Washington, give it back to the people, and watch what happens. Great things are ahead for this country, greatest country in the history of the world. We are finally going to give and restore that great American dream and that hope for those families who have been waiting way too long. That help is coming. We're going to pass this bill. President Trump's going to sign it. It's going to be a great 4th of July. Let's pass the bill, Mr. Speaker. I yield back to balance my time.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Massachusetts.